Oh, here they come. Come on, Red. Watch it, 98. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Chloe. Hi, Devon. Hi, Missy. Hi, poor baby. Hi, Izzy. Hi, Izzy girl. 13. Milo. 190, very pregnant. Teats, oh, bag's filling up. And Martha, I saw Martha, right? So that's Abby. Martha or Abby back there eating all the grass alone. So we have cows everywhere. Red's going up. You can see her way up there. She's going up to check to see if the gate is closed, which it is. So what I gave them is this section here, which was wildlife and is now out of that contract. This section here, which is wildlife, was wildlife and is now out of that contract, and we're going to try to reclaim these as pastures. The state gives you a stipend for keeping things as wildlife. This was supposed to house grouse and turkeys, etc. I have never seen a bird in here. It is too overgrown, even though we brush hog it every other year, and we did brush hog it or leave it grow as the state decided, and yeah, right. So that didn't work. So we now are gonna let the cows in it. What they did with the other wildlife, which is where I put them in the other day, is they nipped off the top of the weeds after they got done with the grass. So the side isn't done, but the tops are done. So we'll see what they do here, but this ought to keep them busy for a couple days, picking at everything. And they have access to go back up and get hay. So if they're getting hungry, they can. This ought to keep them today anyway. So then there's a, this goes down to the brook. You can see the pastures over across the way to the road. So there's a water trough here that actually is just running water that comes down from a hillside up there. And it'll be a raging brook that'll wash out the road, which you can see we've had to fix a number of times, but I think we really fixed it this year. A couple years ago we put in a really good trough to get it to go under. You can see how it comes over and comes out over here, and then it wanders its way down to the brook. And all along this brook is brush, which I wanted to get to this year and clean out, but I did not. So we'll see, maybe in the fall I can. So this they also just got given. This is past wildlife. It needs a lot of work. It was, all of these wildlife areas were pastures at one time, but the people that hate our farm got lazy or something, or it didn't work, or ran out of time, and they stopped. I don't know what they did, but they stopped haying it all, so little by little it grew into scrub. So our job is now to reclaim it to where it was. I don't need it as hay fields per se, but it would be nice to be able to put the cows in. And then bear with me, so that goes way back to the rock wall, which you may be able to see back there. Over here is a sand pit, which we use for our construction of our various stuff. And there's a little, so this is all sand that we're on. And his dad and hundreds of years of farmers before us used it as a dump in the back as they dug out the sand pit. Not sure how much effort that will take to reclaim. This was wildlife, but I cheated, and before any birds were supposed to go in, I let the cows in every year. So you can see what keeping after it does. This has not been mowed since that. But by keeping it down, you can reclaim the grass. So this was very weedy when I first started putting the cows in, but I've reclaimed most of it. There's still some weeds in it, but so Hannah, your next magical trick will probably be to cordon off this. Luckily the junction is right there, and I can get them in here to get this down for a little bit. So you can see the difference. Past the wire is where they've been for 2 or 3 days. So they have nibbled, you know, they're hungry, they want to graze. So they've nibbled, see the difference? Everything down. So one of the things you see is the grass nibbled down. But the other thing, if you notice, is the weeds are very much thinner than here. And the weeds are thinner because they've been nibbling them. So my goal is to reclaim all of this. It's our road that's going to eventually be a bridge. Some wood equipment, and way in the back, those young trees were in deed cleared out one year. Randy and Rusty cleared them out, and Brian, and nobody ever did anything with them, so they're back. So that was maybe 9 at the absolute most. I'm guessing 7 or 8 or 9 years ago. And that's what New England will be grass if you let it, but it was originally forest. So as my cousin Don would say, everything you leave alone does not turn into nothing. It turns into woods. So if you want grass, you have to maintain it. It is not the natural substance. However, in New England, almost every inch of it was pasture, which is why you see all those stone walls in the woods. Those were a pasture. Somebody wasn't an idiot and did it as a boundary marker. It was a pasture. So let's see, go over here. You can kind of see the beaver hutch down there. If you look, there's a bunch of sticks together right at the edge of the water. That's the beaver hutch, the winter hutch. So anyway, if you clear it out good enough and you keep it, all the grass comes back. There's plenty of grass seed there. You just need to maintain it. So that is our cow movement for the day. You know, I just kicked over this little dung patty, which I won't keep on, but my dung beetles are back. And if you don't know about dung beetles, they're absolutely wonderful. In fact, before I had them, they found the cows and came, but the first 2 years I had cows, I did not have dung beetles. I was actually looking into importing them from New Zealand, because you can't get them easily in the United States across state borders. Oh God. But anyway, because they're a bug, but they're everywhere, but I can't bring them from here to there. But anyway, they burrow into the dung and they bury it, or they do something with it and eat it and poop it out again, having been one more time digested. So Wally was gonna make new flooring for this out of these trees, which he cut specifically on that piece of equipment, but he has lost interest, I guess. So they sit. But the goal is to get them out of here this year. So that's the other. So you can see that barn up there, and that's the little beaver pond. I have decided against letting the cows in the water. Number one, for the ecological factor of cows pooping in the water. But number 1A, just as important to me, is I believe our problem with our cows getting pregnant last year, and I believe they were pregnant and had an early miscarriage, is a very common germ in this area called leptospirosis or whatever it is, but it's short for lepto is for short. And it is carried by deer, and the vet mentioned that if they're drinking from the brook, the deer poop up in the swamp, which is in front of us, all around and at the watering, and then they come down and may poop in the water, but I don't see many deer in here inside the fence. But anyway, outside the fence, they poop in the water, and they carry lepto, and the cows could have easily gotten it. And since I had 4 or 5 or 6 that were pregnant and then were not after 2 months or 3 months, if you remember, we vaccinated them all for lepto. The day after I did their booster shot, we let in the bull and everybody took. So I'm going to go with that as a diagnosis. So another thing is I don't want them drinking this water. I don't want them pooping in this water because it does go down like Wickabog. When I have let them in, it has only been to cross, but even then they do poop and they do drink when they're doing that. You can see my water is very well down. That big rock in the water I have seen underwater when it's really, really full, but normally you can't walk to it easily from the other side, and as you can see, you can walk quite easily there. The water's usually up to these trees here, so we're pretty dry for spring. That's why the grass isn't jumping up like it should. But anyway, I don't want them getting lepto. And if you remember last year, we had tons of problems with hoofs getting soft, and I believe one of those problems was it was so hot they were standing in the water up the top, which I'm going to have to cordon off. But I don't need them standing in the water down here either and injuring their foots. So that's going to happen. So this side is fenced up into where all the nags are of tree, but it's going to be fenced all the way. And then next year we'll fence this side, I hope. But the side toward the road is getting worked on this year. This side here that I'm on the other side of the brook, is not a priority this year. The side toward the road is, and just because there's so much more there, and we got a grant to do some of it. So finally, after all this time of applying, I got one. So just for help with the fencing and for the well, but any help is highly appreciated. So that has to be done in a particular time frame. So, and that's because I do my pasturing so well, and I document it so well, and I do it how it's supposed to be done. So I have to make reports and say what I did and how I did it and yada, 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 but that's okay. I'll do it. So, boy, this talk got to be quite lengthy. So that's the update.